Calling to order the regular meeting of the Wheeling Plan Commission for September 22nd, 2021. Please stand for the pledge. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Commissioner Bonova.
I'm here.
Commissioner Berkey.
Here.
Commissioner Sprague is here. Commissioner Yednak.
Present.
Commissioner Heiken.
Here.
Commissioner Riles.
Here.
Chairman Johnson.
Here. Ms. Nyes, any changes to the agenda this evening?
No changes.
All right. Citizens' concerns and comments. This is the chance for anybody that's in the audience to come up and talk about items that are not part of the public hearing things. If there's anything you want to talk about. And we didn't have anyone sign up?
Nope.
Okay. Then we move to our consent item. Docket number SCBA 21-12, a monument ground sign for Napa Auto Parts at 70 East Hinch Road. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Commissioner Yednak, Commissioner Berkey, Heiken.
Commissioner Yednak.
Yes.
Commissioner Heiken.
Yes.
Commissioner Bonova.
Yes.
Commissioner Berkey.
Yes.
Commissioner Sprague is a yes. Commissioner Riles.
Yes.
Chairman Johnson.
Yes. All right. Items for review. We have 4 items today for American Energy Technologies Company at 265 Alice Street, including 3 variation requests and then a major site plan. So let's first get into the public hearings on the variations. Mr. Secretary.
American Technologies Company, contract property owner, is seeking a variation to permit a reduction of the required minimum side yard setback from 17 feet to 4 feet as required in Title 19 zoning of the Wheeling Municipal Code, Chapter 19-07, industrial districts and associated sections associated with the construction of a building addition located at 265 Alice Street, which is zoned I-2 Limited Industrial. Continue with the others.
Go ahead with the 33B.
2020, oh, what?
2021 33B.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
2021 33B is American Technologies Company, contract property owner, is seeking a variation to permit an increase in the maximum height of a fence from 8 feet to 15 feet as required in Title 19 zoning of the Wheeling Municipal Code, Chapter 19-10, use regulations and associated sections associated with the construction of a building addition located at 265 Alice Street, which is zoned I-2 Limited Industrial. And docket 2021-33C, American Energy Technology Company, contract property owner, is seeking a variation to permit a reduction in the minimum number of required off-street parking spaces from 43 spaces to 24 spaces as required in Title 19 zoning of the Wheeling Municipal Code, Chapter 1911, general development standards and associated sections associated with the construction of the building addition located at 265 Alice Street, which is zoned I-2 Limited Industrial. A zoning variation is intended to be a method of adjustment to equalize regulations where the zoning code has created an unnecessary hardship. A variation is designed to allow affected property owners the same rights and privileges that others enjoy in the same zoning district. In order to be granted a variation, a petitioner is required to demonstrate through testimony to the Plan Commission at a public hearing that the request meets the standards of the village code, including but not limited to how their individual situation is unique or unusual. Prior to the public hearing, the petitioner provides written statements meant to show that their request for variation meets the standards established in Title 19. The Commission chairperson will typically direct that these statements be entered into the record without a full reading of them at the hearing. Based upon the testimony and supporting materials submitted, the Plan Commission will make findings in support of or against the petitioner's testimony and report those findings to the Village Board.
Thank you. Ms. Nyes, anything on this before we go to the petitioner?
No, I think everything's pretty well laid out in the staff report. If you have any questions, please let me know.
All right, is the petitioner here?
evening. My name is Grace Snyder
Gotta
Hansen.
swear you in. It's public hearing.
Oh, sorry.
And yes, you can take that off while you're
Okay.
up here, so we can hear you better. Do you swear the testimony you're giving tonight to be the truth?
Yes.
Please state your name and business address.
Hi, my name is Grace Snyder Hansen, and I am representing American Energy Technologies Company, 265 Alice Street, Wheeling, Illinois.
You have a presentation to share, or?
Yeah, more just a verbal presentation.
Okay.
So I'd like to first give a brief overview of who AETC is and what we do. I'll just keep it brief. AETC was founded 12 years ago. We are a privately held and women-owned company that prides itself on being equal opportunity and environmentally responsible. We are specialized in industrial graphite and carbon. Graphite is one of the 35 critical minerals as listed that is critical to the U.S. economy. We work in mainly research and development and also consulting with various companies and process development, among other things. We are very much a project-based company where we work with projects rather than ongoing work. Much of our projects are green technology, for example, various types of batteries, such as EV batteries, electric vehicle batteries, among others. We also, as just another example, electrically conductive coatings. We have both international and U.S. clients. One of our big clients is actually the Department of Defense, various sections of that. So that is just a brief overview of AETC.
Okay. Now, can you explain what it is you're asking for here?
Yeah, so AETC would like to build a about 4,700 square foot addition to the property we purchased a short while ago in industrial area of Wheeling. And you listed before the different variation requests that we've had, and so I'll kind of briefly go over the first one, which was building an exterior trash enclosure in the southeast corner of our building. Exterior trash enclosure is a super common industry practice. It's really quite unfortunate that the previous builders did not put one in. It is not having one, it could pose a health hazard. It could growth bacteria and potentially vermin, though I hope not. And it is not having it could incur higher operating costs to the company, and it's just, we also very much, we're environmentally responsible. We would like multiple bins for recycling purposes, and it is just, it's not an ideal situation having it inside. The enclosure would not be in view of the main Alice Street building, and it would be built aesthetically pleasing and would not be ugly, basically. So we don't think it should pose at all an issue. Yep, so that's what we expect it to look like. And also in this docket is building a 108 square foot power supply enclosure, also on the south side of the building. This would hold a large DC power supply, which is necessary to operate our processing units, and we need this power supply to be as close as possible to our processing units, which is why the location that we are looking at, which is a currently existing cement platform, is ideal because it'd be on one side of the wall, the electrical equipment, and then the processing unit would be inside the building on the other side of the wall. Graphite is an electrically conductive material, and so any potential of dust in the air and having electrical equipment inside the building closer to that could be very much a safety fire hazard, and it could cause short-circuiting of the very expensive equipment and ultimately a malfunction. And we think it is an unnecessary risk, and so we are thinking that having outside for ease of accessibility would really be a better option. And on that south side of the building, the nearest thing next to that building is an abandoned railroad track, and so easy access to that side of the building still would exist, even with a reduction from 17 to 4 feet.
Okay, and the last thing was the parking?
Actually, we got the screen height.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so the normal height is 8 feet, and we would like to have the option to build up to 15 feet. It'd be a masonry screen, which would mean that it would just be all wall, and so it'd actually look pretty aesthetically pleasing because it would look like one wall from that side. It'd be at the back of the building, which would be the west side. And one of the main reason we would like this is because AETC, our building, is located about 4 feet downhill from our neighbor, the Munch Supply Company. And by having it 8 feet and then having that 4 feet downhill, someone could basically stand on a milk box and look over our fence. And since we work with the Department of Defense, and equipment and products that are often ITAR and EAR, ITAR meaning International Traffic on Arms Regulation, and EAR, which is the Export Administration Regulation, that requires really high security clearance. And so we don't have the capabilities of truly checking on everybody who walks near our building what kind of clearance they have. And so being able to have a wall that could build higher would really help with that. And the reason why it's necessary is because we often need to bring out equipment or products into the courtyard we're building in the back. We need to, for quality assurance purposes, we need to review the equipment in natural light. And there's only so much you can do in artificial lighting. And so not having that option of being able to take proprietary products that we have out into the opening is very much not an ideal situation for us.
Okay.
And then our third is the parking. Because of the zoning restrictions, I believe for every 1,000 square feet, we need an additional number for, I think, 4 spaces. And we are right now a company of 15 full-time employees. Because we are project-based, we used a lot of specialized equipment that needs its own space and to keep apart from each other in certain ways and from people, which is why we want the addition to be able to have more of that separation. And because we're project-based, we're not using all of the equipment at one time. We have a project, we need certain kinds of equipment, we use that equipment, but sometimes it's sitting there until we need it for the next project. And so right now, we've got 15 full-time employees. We've got 24 parking spaces. We don't expect to need more than 24. Already, even with visitors coming in, we think maybe 20 people will be there at one time. And so needing an additional 19 parking spaces to have 43 parking spaces would incur additional operating expenses that are unnecessary, and we don't need that sort of space. And so we would like to not need to build more parking.
Okay. Anything else on the variations?
No, I believe that's
Okay.
it.
All 3 of these are public hearings, so if there's anyone in the crowd tonight that has something they want to add on this, please step forward. And there's nobody. Okay. So we'll go to the commissioners.
Should I sit down?
Well, you can sit down,
Okay,
but
sorry.
you may have to get up if they have
okay.
questions.
Well, thank you very much for hearing me out. So
Okay.
There's probably some questions, you might want to stay up.
Yeah,
Okay,
okay.
sorry.
So each of these is a separate docket requiring separate votes, but as we go down the line here, you can ask your questions, make your comments on all 3, and then we'll circle back and separate them out for voting. So let's start with Commissioner Hyken.
I have no questions. Thank you for doing a very thorough presentation. It was pretty simple to understand.
Thank you.
Commissioner Berkey.
No questions, thank you.
Commissioner Yednick.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple of quick questions. Welcome to Wheeling. And
Thank you.
You piqued my interest when you said women-owned, and my niece just finished her doctorate in chemical engineering and working for the government now. I'm going to have to tell her about your company when she's looking for something to do after she finishes her fellowship. One quick question. This is more out of curiosity than anything. You said that in your courtyard, you're going to be maybe testing some equipment or viewing equipment. I was just curious why then you chose to sod or grass that whole area. Wouldn't it have been better or make more? There's just some sidewalks, but the main courtyard is grass, and I would thought if you wanted to bring equipment out there, this was just out of curiosity more than anything. It struck me as strange that you'd want to grass that area.
Yeah, so I did not play a whole large part in the actual building of this architecture pieces, so I might want to hand off that question to one of my colleagues.
Yep, you have to come
You
up,
have to come
get
forward
sworn
and
in.
swear in.
I go through the process.
Okay.
Raise your right hand. You swear the testimony you're giving tonight to be the truth.
Yeah.
And state your name. And
Okay, my
business.
name is Maya Barsikov, and actually I am an owner of this company, so it's woman-owned. Okay, so we do not produce equipment as equipment, but large parts. I cannot, tell you exactly what because it's for DoD, but there are large parts which we have to sometimes review and test outside of, because they will be used by Department of Defense outside.
I understand why you bring them out. You could manage it however you want. I got curious when I read it and why there was not like a work surface or you didn't do concrete or something so you could bring your carts out and.
There is no need for concrete there for this. For now. I don't know what will
like I say,
happen in a year or two, but yeah, for now there is no need.
Doesn't impact my vote one way or the
Again,
other.
if we might use this courtyard for our employees just to have lunch outside, like that for now. Because we do not observe our parts every day.
Okay.
We have all different stuff to do, but we thought about some place for employees to enjoy their lunches or like that.
Okay, it was just a curiosity. And this question is more for staff, I guess, is that even with the reduction in parking spaces, are there the required number of ADA spaces still provided for?
Yes, they are.
Okay, all right. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Riles.
I'm just kind of curious regarding the height of the fence, right? From 8 to 15. And the example was used with if someone, because of the material that's going to be placed in there, and you're down on an incline, so to speak, or whatever, a hill type, and the example was used that someone can easily get a milk crate and peek over to see the contents inside. My question is, and I understand, but if it's that important to protect, because it's easily for someone, if they want to just get a ladder to go up, correct, right?
Yeah, I hope it won't be that bad that someone would get a ladder, but it's much supplies. It has a lot of contractors, so they can just look without, unintentionally. If someone takes ladder, we will see it, we will take a picture, we will do something. Yeah, I really hope it won't happen unless. Yeah, I understand what you mean. But that's not what we can do.
Yeah, okay, no, it's just.
Of course, there are drones. Maybe someone would use drone to see what's going on. That's what we can do.
Okay, no, I just needed to get a better understanding gauge on it. Thank you.
Yeah. But besides that, we also would like to have some place for us just to stay and do not be disturbed by managed supplies contractors.
Thank you.
Thank you for your question.
Is that it?
That's it, thank you.
Commissioner Blanova.
I have nothing, thank you.
Commissioner Sprague.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. All my questions were covered in the presentation, which was very good, and that's all I have.
All right. I guess my question is more for staff. Why is this considered a fence versus a building addition?
Just simply because there's not a roof on it.
Okay.
It's less expensive.
Okay. And why would you not want a roof on it if you're afraid of drones peeking down and...
You know what? We didn't even think about that. It's a good idea.
'Cause,
Maybe later on.
I mean, is the stuff need to be protected from snow and can you get snow out of
It's not
there?
going to be there all the time. We can get it out, test it, observe it, and get it back. We're not going to store it there.
But I'm confused. I thought this was electrical equipment.
No, it's different. Electrical equipment, it's different. It's not behind the fence.
Actually, could I clarify something?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so they initially had requested 4 variances, and you'll see on this screen here, there's 2 structures on the left side. One of them is a trash enclosure, one of them is the power supply she
Yes.
was talking about. They only needed 1 variation because we just took the one that was close, the greater variance. So that encompassed both structures. They didn't need 2 separate variations. So she was talking about this power supply when I think everyone thought she was talking about the courtyard.
Oh, no, yeah.
No, I was thinking about, this is the 15-foot,
This is the 15-foot thing, but she was talking about, and correct me if I'm wrong, weren't you talking about the power supply being in this area?
You are absolutely correct.
Yeah.
It's in the addition.
okay.
It's on the south side.
But that's got equipment in there permanently.
Yeah, does that have a roof?
Equipment? Yes.
Yeah, that part
Yeah,
has
of
the roof.
course. Yeah, of course, everything will be under the roof.
The courtyard is this part on
courtyard.
the west.
You have to come up. Raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you're giving tonight to be the truth?
Yes.
And your name and business?
My name is Viktor Kaufman. I am operations manager of the company.
Okay.
So the point is the parts that we produce sometimes from DoD, they have to be inspected and tested under the daylight.
Right.
They can't be tested inside. So it's why we need some open space that we can bring this equipment or these parts out, test them 20 minutes, half an hour, bring them back. Okay. We don't store anything in there. We don't work with anything in there. It's just for, let's say, quality control and testing purposes, to bring them outside of the building on a daylight, test it and bring it back.
And that's what's in the courtyard?
Yes.
So my question is on the electrical equipment structure that we're calling a fence that's 15 feet high. Is there,
No, there's no
No.
setback.
There is nothing.
then I'm still confused.
Okay. Power supply, it's an enclosure on the south side of the building.
Right.
And it's just a power supply that has to be in enclosure and has to be separated from our equipment because of the graphite is conductive and it's a very high power supply.
Okay.
We don't want hazards for the fire or whatever else. It's nothing to do with the fence that goes on the west side of the building.
Okay.
Yeah, the wall is for the courtyard. Let me show you.
If we will take a look, that is the west side of the building.
Yeah,
The power supply enclosure on the south side. And the wall is between new additions that we have and old warehouse that exists.
My apologies then. I misunderstood something.
That's
along the
okay.
line. Okay. I have nothing else. I'm fine with the parking. I'm fine with the side yard setback. Anything from fire?
No, not at this time.
Engineering? Okay. Any other questions from the commission? Okay. All right, then there's no conditions on any of these, Marcia?
No.
All right, so then I'll ask for a motion on 2021-33A.
So moved.
Second.
That's Commissioner Sprague and Commissioner Yednick.
Commissioner Sprague is a yes. Commissioner Yednak.
Yes.
Commissioner Blanova.
Yes.
Commissioner Berkey.
Yes.
Commissioner Heiken.
Yes.
Commissioner Riles.
Yes.
Chairman Johnson.
Yes. And now we need a motion to close 2021-33A.
So moved.
Second.
It's Berkey and Yedlin.
Berkey and Yednick.
You can do all in favor.
Oh, we can
Yeah.
do a voice vote on this?
Yes, you can do a
Okay.
voice vote on this.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Now I need a motion on 2021-33B.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Commissioner Blanova seconded.
No.
Commissioner Sprague motioned. Commissioner Sprague is a yes. Commissioner Blanova.
Yes.
Commissioner Berkey.
Yes.
Commissioner Yednak.
Yes.
Commissioner Heiken.
Yes.
Commissioner Riles.
Yes.
Chairman Johnson.
Yes. And a motion to close 2021-33B.
So move.
Second. Who seconded?
Berkey.
Berkey. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right. Now I need a motion on 2021-33C.
So moved.
Second.
Did you get it?
I didn't get who that was.
I'm sorry.
It was Berkey and Heiken.
Berkey and Heiken.
Commissioner Berkey.
Yes.
Commissioner Heiken.
Yes.
Commissioner Blanova.
Yes.
Commissioner Sprague is a yes. Commissioner Yednak.
Yes.
Commissioner Riles.
Yes.
Chairman Johnson.
Yes. And finally, a motion to close 2021-33C.
So moved.
Second.
Yednak and Berkey?
Yednak and Heiken.
Who?
Heiken.
Heiken, I'm sorry.
Heiken was second.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Takes care of the three variations. Now we move on to docket 2021-34, the major site plan approval for a 4,723 square foot building addition for AETC at 265 Alice Street. Ms. Nyes, anything additional on this?
No.
All right. Petitioner, want to come up again? And is there anything you want to add to the site plan description before we go to the commission? Okay. Now, let's start with Commissioner Sprague this time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On the west side of the building, there's a 12 kV circuit for your service now. Is that being removed? Are you going to put it underground to the south side, or?
That would be, Victor can answer that.
Yes, right now electrical connection is on the north side of the warehouse. It will be, we're working with Comet to move it on the west side of the warehouse underground.
Underground to your, where's your service going to be?
The service will be in the west side of the warehouse.
On the section to the south?
On the section to the south, yes.
Okay. All right. The trash enclosure.
Yes.
We suggest that you use steel posts for the gates
That's fine.
and then a steel frame.
Okay.
That's
It will be,
fine.
again, we will apply for the building permit. It's all will be there, and we will follow whatever the request of the village will be.
So you use steel posts and then
Yes.
a steel frame on the gate?
It's our architect key.
Just state your name for the record. This isn't part of the public hearing.
My name is Lev Isaacson, architect.
I'm sorry.
Yes, we'll use pipe bollards, as you suggested, and we'll use steel posts.
Okay, and then as far as the treated lumber that you're going to use for covering it up, you're suggesting that you want to paint it?
Painted, yes.
You're aware that you can't paint womanized wood right away?
We'll do just a treated wood.
unless it's kiln dried, you can't paint it because it's too wet. Paint won't stick to it.
Well, we'll do additional research and we'll see what.
Okay. Yeah, I wanted you to know that so that
Okay.
you don't throw paint on fresh treated wood and then it's gonna just fall right off. Okay, this brings me to your landscaping plan.
We do, yes.
One of the shade trees that you have listed to use, you want to use them along the south side and the west side. They're called Cherokee Princess Dogwoods.
Yes.
Okay. That space that you have on both those sides is roughly 17 feet. And I did a little research on those trees. They can grow to be 35 feet wide. So I wanted you to be aware of that. You can plant them if you want to, but just so you know that they can grow very wide, and you have to chop them. You have to trim them down a lot. So you may want to look at that also. Also, I just want to, as a reminder, you said that the underground service is going to go in on the west side there, and you have two trees to go in right there, so that could be a problem also.
We actually realized it after we already supplied the landscaping plan. We will move this one of the trees, the north one, we will move it to the different position to be clear for the...
Could you step up to the mic, please? Could you step up to the microphone?
I said that the tree that right now is the second tree on the west, close to the north, we will move it to the different position so it will not be where is the underground
It won't be in the way.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that covers everything that I wanted to cover. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Blanova.
I have nothing. Thank you.
Commissioner Riles.
No questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Yednick.
No questions. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Berkey.
No questions, thank you.
Commissioner Heiken.
No questions.
Wow. Commissioner Sprague did it all. I had nothing else either, so, and I'm assuming there's no other questions from the commission? Do we have any conditions?
No conditions.
All right, then we're ready for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Did you get that?
Commissioner Heiken motioned and Commissioner Blanova seconded.
Yes.
Commissioner Heiken,
Yes.
Commissioner Blanova,
Yes.
Commissioner Berkey,
Yes.
Commissioner Sprague is a yes, Commissioner Yednack,
Yes.
Commissioner Riles,
Yes.
Chairman Johnson.
Yes.
I'll be in contact with you tomorrow regarding a village board meeting.
Thank you for a good presentation.
Welcome to Wheeling.
You don't have to stay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next up, we have a couple of dockets to review for Prairie Park. Due to conflicts of interest, Commissioners Yednick and Heiken, I believe, are recusing from this discussion and vote.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Okay, the first one up is 2021-35, final amendment to previously approved PUD to Prairie Park at 70 Prairie Park Drive. Hello, Mr. Shapiro.
Can I take this off?
Yes, you may.
Good evening, Dan Shapiro on behalf of the petitioner applicant. Appreciate you putting us on your docket today. We've reviewed the staff report, and we've reviewed all of the pieces of the report that come before you tonight, and I just have a couple of things because I expect some questions. So if I could maybe address a couple of issues that might answer your questions in advance, I would appreciate that.
Okay.
In June, we received final PUD and preliminary PUD and preliminary plat approval based upon certain conditions. I'd like to review those conditions. One condition was that electric service for Meadow Lane lift station be transferred to developer's ComEd account, and all previous outstanding bills must be paid. We submitted a letter on my letterhead asking that this be considered asking that this be allowed to be satisfied at the time of building permit. It's a $5,000 bill. We asked for a deferral until that time. I see in the staff report that staff recommends that the Planning Commission defer this decision to the village board for determination at that time. The other condition that was mentioned was, or request was, that I provide the departures, as I call it, from our PUD. I did. Staff noted that there was one that was inadvertently left out, and they're right. So I am confirming that we would ask that in addition to the 4, I think, that I provided, that the other departure be a reduction in the rear yard setback from 30 feet to 8 feet. One of the things I noticed in the staff report was, quote unquote, the final landscape plan utilizes unconventional symbols and notations to identify proposed plat types. We acknowledge that, but that doesn't mean it's wrong or not compliant with any of our requirements. What I think is a fact is that the symbols provided a different delineation or description of the plantings, but I'm confident that after some staff review and maybe after some discussions tonight, that will become a non-issue. Under staff's recommendation, they said that certain technical requirements of condition 1, ordinance 5418, have not yet been fulfilled, and we agree those are technical requirements at best. We agree with staff's conclusions that the final PUD plans are in general conformance with the PUD plans approved pursuant to 5418. They mentioned the landscape plan, which I'll address in a minute, and then say all other requirements of the final PUD plans have been satisfactorily completed. Let me start off by mentioning that one need only look at the comparison of Prairie Park's current landscape appearance to other recent projects in Wheeling. The landscaping of Prairie Park is magnificent. The 18-unit townhomes will be similarly landscaped, will be similarly maintained, and have the same landscape maintenance company. So there's a standard, a bar that Prairie Park has set. The 18-unit townhomes through the same landscape company will equal that bar. The landscape company, I asked my client, what does the landscape company do with respect to maintenance? Here's what they do, here's what they're going to do. Weekly, among the things, weekly landscape services, including mowing, trimming, weed control, pruning of shrubs, ground cover. They have a certified arborist that comes out and looks at the site 3 or so times a year. They meet multiple times each season with the owner, with the developer, Prairie Park, to review the site and management, discuss issues. And they have a certified arborist that oversees total tree pruning every other year. I would represent that this, among all the other things that I didn't include in this summary, is high quality maintenance and control. Not only have they been doing it, but they have also been doing it across the street, the Westin. So if you want to know what the townhomes are going to look like, whether they're going to be maintained, you got exhibits A and B in front of you. This project will be as exciting and as beautiful as Uptown 500 unit apartments in London Crossing, all of which sought and received final approvals with more requested departures. The timing for this project is critical, and that's why at the end of my summary, at the end of this presentation, we're going to ask for a recommendation. The timing is critical. The developer needs to get in the ground. Further delays may cause it to lose its financing and may cause it to get its ability to get in the ground this year. That may devastate or adversely impact the project. So I'm giving you a little bit of a heads up of why I'm going to urge you at the end of this presentation for a recommendation to the village board. In speaking with staff over the last several weeks, I explained to them that the plantings and locations will not change, that the landscape plan is robust, and any technical adjustments, which we believe are most associated with engineering, such as the location of plantings relative to hydrants, et cetera, can be dealt with at building permit. I myself lost forest through the trees, no pun intended, by looking at this and realized that one of the comments that appears to come through in the report is that some of the landscape can get overgrown because that wasn't shown on the plan. And I thought to myself, how do we deal with this? And the simple answer is it's pruned, it's trimmed, it's maintained every year by the same company that has done so for Prairie Park and the Westin. As an example of that, we had one exchange with staff earlier today, and there was some discussion, and Dave Anthony from Countryside Landscaping said to staff, and this is just an example of what I'm talking about, and I'm just reading off of what he said. The bed reference below is about 5 feet wide, and we have weeklias that will get about 3 feet wide, and coropsis that's about 1 foot wide. This will give us 4 feet of plants and 5 feet in a 5-foot bed. The plants would be spaced a little further from the building than what the drawing shows, would have plenty of room to stay in the bed lines. We realize in the future that some of the plants, like the Japanese maple, may need to be pruned off of the building, but that is normal maintenance as with other trees planted near buildings. So I can assure you that once it comes time to planting in the framed landscaped areas, any issues with regards to installation, dimension, size, et cetera, not only will be scrutinized at the time that they are planted, but it will be scrutinized and properly dealt with by the maintenance company. We ask for your positive recommendation for the final plat and final PUD. Thank you.
Okay. I think before we go to the commission, I'm first going to run it by various staff people. Fire, any comments on this project at this point?
Our comments have pretty much been addressed in previous discussions, and
nothing pending right now?
Nothing pending on our end.
Okay. Engineering.
Our comments were obviously brought to your guys' attention. The one thing that in between this memo and this meeting today was our discussions with the applicant regarding the soil borings. We're willing to offer a little flexibility in this. Basically, our memo stated that they would need to get additional borings in soil boring location 6. You know, at the end of the day, as long as a soil consultant, when they start digging, you know, if they get their early earthwork permit, if they start digging and have a soil consultant basically okay the soil, and with the recommendation of the soil consultant and a structural engineer for the foundation, that would be sufficient to us. Ultimately, at the end of the day, you know, a soil consultant's recommendation is kind of what we're looking for here. So whether that happens now or when they start digging, you know, that's fine with us.
Okay, thank you.
But other than that, obviously you've seen the rest of our comments, you know, in the memo.
Yes. Director Clicker, anything?
Nothing that additional than what's in the staff report.
And your partner there, Steve, anything?
No, the staff report highlights the staff comments regarding the landscape plan, which go beyond symbology and things like that. So we detailed what the primary concerns are regarding the landscaping plan, and if there's any other elaborations of staff that the Plan Commission would like to have regarding that, I'm more than happy to answer those.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. All right, let's start with Commissioner Sprague again.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, Mr.
Good evening.
So you did cover a few of the things that are still out in the open as far as they're waiting for information. But there's still quite a few things that were in the agenda or memo listed that I didn't hear you speak about. So I'm wondering, with staff, has that all been satisfied or not? As far as like material detail specifications, base site plan and engineering plan inconsistencies, row of bushes located off-site on north side, and that wasn't according to what you had recommended. Identification of sod seed areas, 2 different legends for plant species, and then in the fencing, there's a conflict showing a fence over a fire hydrant. Has any of that been addressed?
No, sir.
Nothing. So I don't know how we can vote on something if all these questions haven't been addressed, taken care of.
I don't know if that's a question,
You know,
Commissioner Sprague, but I'm happy to try to answer. All of those are, in fancy legal words, de minimis. Those are all so easily dealt with, either administratively or otherwise, that to kick it back for 2 weeks and lose a construction season would be a shame, period.
Well,
That's why I didn't address it.
It's a shame that it hasn't been addressed before tonight.
I understand your concern, sir.
I mean, if you're saying it's urgent to get it in the ground now, I'm very surprised that you don't have all this stuff buttoned up already. How about MWRD Engineering? Have we heard from them?
I have not, well, we haven't gotten the permit yet. They've applied for the WMO permit with MWRD. That application, I don't have the exact date, but it was over a month ago. And as my understanding that they've had a first round of comments, they're making a resubmittal. We have not received the full WMO permit yet at this point.
So that's still up in the air then?
Yes, they basically just can't start earthwork and grading or underground utility work until that permit is obtained.
Thank you. One other thing I wanted to cover. In your letter to Director Clicker dated September 15th, 2021, item number 2 reads, while a strict interpretation of the code would require 30 feet between buildings, we are seeking a departure of 10 feet. Please note that the plan shows a corridor between buildings and not a setback per se. Please also note that to date, neither the Plan Commission nor the Village Board has expressed any concern with this issue. I was really taken back by that comment in this letter. I cannot speak for the Village Board, but I know for a fact, and I have copies of minutes from 2 previous meetings of issues and concerns about the 10 feet in between the buildings.
Would you like my response, sir?
You may.
Thank you. I took the unanimous vote that we received last time as the fact that the Plan Commission unanimously was comfortable with the PUD plan. I'm sorry, the board. Yep. That the board was unanimously comfortable with it.
But it also says Plan Commission.
I apologize, that meant the board.
Did you guys, I didn't see anything in the agenda at all. Did you change any of the sizes of the buildings to help relieve some of the setback issues?
No, we didn't, because we received unanimous approval. There was no need to.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Commissioner Blanova.
Nothing to add, thank you.
Commissioner Riles.
No question, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Berkey?
No questions, thank you.
Okay. Well, I'm still, as Commissioner Sprague said, confused as to why you pushed to have this on our agenda tonight when you knew things were not completely set. In conversations with staff, they told you what was missing.
I would be happy to address that, Chairman.
Go ahead.
We pushed this for, as I told you a couple minutes ago, we pushed this because we were hoping that this commission would bring a sense of common sense and practicality to the plan. What you're identifying to us is not a surprise, but is minor adjustments that can be so easily administratively approved or approved by the board or dealt with on a revision that does not make sense to go back 2 weeks for that. These are easily addressable items. I'm trying to get this client in the ground this fall.
I understand
And that's
that.
why I'm here. I'm asking for your recommendation. I'm asking for your reasonable, common, practical sense to allow this to go forward. And if we need to offer a slight adjustment to one plan, 1 or 2 sheets of what you saw to be numerous adjustments, and that's part of the process. I get that. But if you're asking us to go back on 1 sheet, given the minor adjustments because of some of the things that were noted, and that can ruin this plan from moving forward this fall, that's your prerogative. I hope that doesn't happen. Even if you're considering voting and you don't want to vote in a positive way, I'm asking for a vote tonight, period.
That's your right.
Yes, sir.
You keep
But
saying.
I urge you to look at this in the totality of the circumstances and what I'm doing. I'm not trying to pick a fight. I'm not trying to do an end around. I'm trying to express to you the urgency here with a way in which we can adjust this landscape plan very easily before the board and at final permitting building permit. So there's a way to adjust this in a way that can be appropriate and satisfactory and comfortable. The staff level, I truly don't think this needs any further delay. So thank you for your time and your attention.
You keep saying how these are simple changes, but then why weren't they done? I mean, it's my understanding that you missed the 2-week advance to get this into the staff, so they didn't have 2 weeks time.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not pointing fingers here, and I wish that wasn't done here. We are where we are. There's been a lot of collaboration and give and take with staff. I'd rather not go into that.
Okay, but that's things we have to consider because, we got our packet a day late because of them waiting on other documents from
I can't
the
explain that.
petitioner.
I just feel like the animosity that's coming from this board to us is something that feels very uncomfortable and unusual for me. But I'm hoping that you guys see through that and vote in the positive.
Mr. Clicker, anything you want to add to this discussion as far as timing?
No, sir.
Okay. All right.
If this commission wants to add conditions on those slight things, we have no objection, but I think you've got my point. We'd like to get a vote, whether that's conditional, positive, or in the unfortunate event, negative with you tonight. We ask for your strong consideration.
What conditions can we put on this, Marcy?
Well, we had the 3 conditions that were still part of the preliminary PUD. Mallory and I thought those could be put on, so that the final details of the paver material and specification shall be included on the final PUD plans. I guess that would be before the village board meeting, or?
If possible, yeah.
And then electrical service for the Meadow Lane lift station shall be transferred to the developer's ComEd account, and all previous outstanding balances must be paid to the village before permit issuance. I guess I'd defer to Ross and Steve. And detention base number 2 shall be constructed concurrently with the townhome development. At that time, the leasing office trailer and parking lot will require removal in order to fully construct the detention basin.
And then if the commission wants to consider any type of condition on the landscape plan, they can consider that as well. But those are the 3 that Marcy and I considered from the carryover from the preliminary PUD that weren't satisfied yet.
Okay, and the final documentation also has to include that 4th variation or relief item?
I say we, the petitioner resubmit the final deviation request. I think the letter should come from you instead of, there's nowhere for us to add it. It just has to be the letter from you.
Okay. And then that would go in the board packet.
Yeah.
And you can have a new landscape plan that fills all these other questions and comments prior to the board meeting?
Marcy, when would the next board meeting be?
It would be October 4th, and we would need the documents the Monday prior, or the Tuesday prior.
Okay, so that would be
That would be next week.
Next week.
Yes.
Okay, then make that a condition that a corrected landscape plan be in the board packet.
Is there a date that we can just make sure we're, what date next week?
End of business day, 28th. Doesn't guarantee, I mean, that's for us to make the yeoman's effort to do the review.
Got it.
Do you want me to add that date in there? That it be revised by that date, or just by?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind if you put that date in there. It puts us all on a clear path.
All right, well, she's working on that. Commissioner Riles, anything additional that you've thought of?
No, I have nothing. Thank you.
Commissioner Blanova?
No, sir.
Commissioner Sprague?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to be clear that my vote tonight is based on my previous concerns that have not changed and not the outstanding issues that have been discussed tonight. Thank you.
All right. Commissioner Berkey?
No additional conditions.
Okay.
Sorry. Okay. So number 1, final details of the paver material and specifications shall be included on the final PUD plans prior to the village board meeting. Number 2, electrical service for the Meadow Lane lift station shall be transferred to the developer's ComEd account, and all previous outstanding balances must be paid to the village prior to the issuance of the first building permit. Number 3, detention basin number 2 shall be constructed concurrently with the townhome development. At that time, the leasing office trailer and parking lot will require removal in order to fully construct the detention basin. Number 4, a final list of PUD deviations shall be submitted prior to the village board meeting. And a final landscape plan shall be revised in accordance with the staff review letter by the end of the day on September 28th.
That it? All right, with those conditions, do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Berkey, Commissioner Blanova.
Commissioner Blanova.
Yes.
Commissioner Berkey. Yes. Commissioner Sprague is a no. Commissioner Yednak.
Abstain.
Commissioner Heiken.
Abstain.
Commissioner Riles.
Yes.
Chairman Johnson.
No. So we have 3 yes, 2 no, 2 abstain.
Thank you.
All right, then we also have docket 2021-36, Prairie Park Townhomes, final plat of re-subdivision at 70 Prairie Park Drive.
nothing.
Nothing else on this? Okay. Commissioner Sprague, anything on this?
No, I have nothing.
Commissioner Blanova? Commissioner Riles?
No,
Commissioner
Chairman,
Berkey?
thank you.
No.
And nor do I. So, there's no conditions on
Yeah,
this?
there are.
Oh, there are, I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead.
Number 1, prior to village board review of the final plat of re-subdivision, the following revision shall occur. A, the existing 76-foot building setback that extends through the proposed townhome development shall be removed to remove the conflict with the 8-foot building setback along the northern row of townhome units. B, all existing covenants must be shown on the final plat or an accompanying attached document. C, an owner's certificate for the Prairie Park at Wheeling Condominium Association shall be added to the final plat. D, the school district certificate shall be revised to correctly identify the applicable Wheeling school districts. And E, the park district certificate shall be included on the final plat.
Thank you.
Excuse me, I didn't mean to turn my back on you. I was just confirming with our engineer that I believe all those conditions were submitted and dealt with as part of our plat. I don't know how, well, okay.
Not the one that we saw.
Not on the last version we received, so if there was one, it
They
may...
should at least know the school district.
If it was submitted, it was submitted after the publication of the Plan Commission docket, so we weren't able to add it on. But the attachment that you have there is the latest one that we had reflected and received
Okay.
and reflected.
We accept those conditions. My understanding that was submitted in advance. Some time ago, it was or it wasn't. We accept those conditions. I'm not quite sure where the confusion lies.
Okay. All right, with those conditions, do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Commissioner Berkey and Commissioner Blanova.
Commissioner Berkey. Yes. Commissioner Blanova.
Yes.
Commissioner Sprague is a no. Commissioner Yednak.
Abstain.
Commissioner Heiken.
Abstain.
Commissioner Riles.
Yes.
Chairman Johnson.
Yes. All right, we have 4 yes, 1 no, 2 abstentions.
Thank you. Do I need to sign anything or paperwork?
We don't do that anymore.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, since COVID came, we don't
Okay, well, advancements of technology, I guess.
pass
Thank you.
papers back and forth now. All right. Approval Approval of minutes of the regular meeting of September 8th, 2021, including the findings of fact for 2021-30, 2021-31, and 2021-32.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Yednek, Commissioner Berkey? Oh, Eichen. You two sound too much alike down there.
Commissioner Yednek,
Yes.
Commissioner Heiken,
Yes.
Commissioner Blanova,
Yes.
Commissioner Berkey,
Yes.
Commissioner Sprague is yes, Commissioner Riles,
Yes.
Chairman Johnson.
Yes. Other business. Ms. Nyes, anything to share?
Nope.
Nothing going on.
Other business? I have something.
Well, wait your turn.
Oh, all right.
You think I was going to ignore you over there?
You're going to get called on.
All right, since you're so anxious. Director Clicker.
Excuse me, now I got a drinking problem on top of it. Just wanted to share with everybody that, yes, the village board did take up the fence and accessory structure text amendment changes, and they did approve it on Monday night. They did make one change to the ordinance that was presented, and that is that they took chain link fences and moved them from a type A to a type B fence. So what that effectively does is prohibits fences, chain link fences, in the front of a structure. So that was the one change that happened to it. Just wanted to make sure.
Thank you. That's good news for some of us. Steve, anything? Kyle, what's going on around town?
I suspect most would like an update on Wolf Road. You guys didn't explicitly ask for an update, but I will provide one anyways. So we did have a meeting out there with them, with the contractor, with IDOT today. So phase 2, which incorporates the 1 lane in each direction on the new concrete patch of roadway. We don't have an exact date yet, but it's first, maybe second week of October. So there's some slight delays over the last couple of days due to the weather and getting that final concrete in place. So we have that going for us coming up in the not too distant future here. Strong Avenue will be opened up again probably on the 27th. So obviously that's been closed since May. And then obviously some of the finger streets from Picardy, Meyerson, and Mayer. Meyerson, I think that's going to be opened up tomorrow. Picardy will remain closed until phase 2, so second week of October. Mayer Avenue will be closed when Strong Avenue is opened up. So some streets are opening up, some are going to be closed. Access to that subdivision over there will be maintained. In fact, it will probably be better than it currently is. So
And that project's going to go into next year.
yeah, so
for the
what
other
we can
side.
expect for the winter time, with this phase transition into phase 2, we can have, obviously all traffic will be on the new concrete roadway, 1 lane each direction. They're going to be ripping out all the asphalt on the, would that be the east side of the roadway, the side that we're currently driving on. So they're going to be ripping out all the asphalt on that side, and once, probably second week, third week of October, starting all underground installations, storm sewer, any kind of water main adjustments, et cetera. That will go until winter time. Once winter rolls around and the weather kind of is not cooperative anymore, basically the project will kind of shut down until springtime. Once springtime rolls around, obviously it's a little far out to be getting into specifics, but they'll probably start prepping for the concrete placement for the other side of the road. So short term, obviously I kind of outlined some of the changes there, kind of on a broader spectrum. I don't have too many specifics, but that's kind of the gist of it.
Thank you. Oh, and I see the bridge on McHenry finally got opened up.
That project got completed about a month ahead of schedule, so very happy to see that open again. But other than that, no major updates here unless you guys have questions.
Inspector Nemec, anything? All right.
Nothing.
Commissioner Riles, any other business to discuss?
No other business, thank you.
Commissioner Blanova? Commissioner Sprague?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just had one thing to bring up about the Wolf Road project. That straw mat, does that have seed, grass seed in it?
Yes.
So you may be aware of this, but I walk along there all the time, and that's been laid over gravel, concrete rock, big blocks, signs are still underneath it, tree branches are sticking out of it. I took pictures, but I didn't bring them with me. I forgot them at home.
And my guess is, this not being our project, obviously it's kind of speculative at this point, but, it's probably more of an erosion control measure than anything. Obviously, once springtime rolls around and they're kind of wrapping this, or sorry, not springtime, once the end of the next year rolls around, once they kind of get this project substantially completed, they'll probably work on touching up landscape and related items. No point in making that area super fancy if they're going to have to come and do some additional stuff later on. So I think it's more of an erosion control measure than anything, but any deficiencies or whatever, we'll make note of it and bring it to their attention.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Commissioner Yednick.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple of things. I'm going to probably get in trouble for stealing your thunder again, but they mentioned it at the board meeting, and just point out that there's a pancake breakfast, a community pancake breakfast this Saturday. Unfortunately, I have to miss it. I'm getting some appliances delivered, but they mentioned it last night or Monday night at the board meeting. And then the other thing, I happen to be looking at my calendar just so nobody shows up. We're not meeting again for 3 more weeks. So usually we're on a 2-week cycle, and I might have showed up on the wrong night. So just point out that we don't meet until I think the 2nd week of October or 3rd week.
October 13th.
What's that?
October 13th.
13th.
Sorry, I heard 15th.
Oh, 13th.
That's a Friday, I will not be here.
Just so I wouldn't have been the only one that showed up here by mistake. That's all, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Commissioner Berkey.
Thank you. I don't have anything other than I can't wait to be able to drive both ways down Wolf Road.
Commissioner Heiken.
Nothing, thank you.
All right, and I don't have anything. You didn't steal my thunder, Commissioner Yednick. I thought about doing it, and I didn't write it down, so thank you for covering that. Mallory, anything?
I have nothing.
Okay. Gave everybody a chance. All right. Then I would like a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I don't know who was first on that one.
Give it to
Whoever
Commissioner
was
Yednick.
down there.
Give it to Commissioner Yednick
And then Heiken, I think.
and Heiken. All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.